week lockdown. I don't know about you guys, but it feels like it's dragged on a little bit. We're about, I'd say, 50 days into the utter insanity, the war of lockdown versus liberty, and what we do now is track the hypocrites, follow the hypocrites, like Massachusetts Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito, who had a party over the weekend. She lied about it. We know she lied, so they kept their distance. Have you guys ever been to a party? Maybe you have, where everybody kept their distance, stayed 6 feet apart.
There was probably they probably handed out like you have sometimes you go places, they have the paper tape measures, like at IKEA or something like that. That's what they probably all had.
There was a cafe in France or Germany where they put those swimming noodles, those things kids use in the pool. You had to wear them on your head. They give you a hat with swimming noodles that kept people, I don't know, 2 or 3 feet away. And then there was that restaurant down in Maryland where you literally had an inner tube around you and you walked in the restaurant to keep people away. I mean, that's just totally off the rails. That's just silly. And so is the idea that the Massachusetts Lieutenant Governor, who is, by the way, one of the most fanatical lockdown proponents. She doesn't think anybody should ever do anything. Just stay locked down till November 3rd. She's a Trump hater, a never Trumper. She's a liberal, and there's no restriction she didn't support. And then she has the gall to go out and have a party, a graduation party, where they kept their distance. And there's a good excuse for this, Tom Shattuck, because her brother has kids who are graduating. Unlike the 7 million people in Massachusetts, the 330 million people in America. Did you know they were the only kids in America to have a graduation? So they had to have a party.
Who knew brothers were immune, by the way? I was shocked to find that out yesterday. That certainly, and you could tell when Baker gave her the mic yesterday, when they were asked a question, he was like, man, I'm getting 25 feet away from this thing because I heard what her answer is going to be, and it doesn't wash. Yes, my brother had a graduation, small party. We were social distance. We were. And it's so funny. It's because again and again, even this weekend, you guys played it yesterday when you had Turtle Boy on, you had Baker saying, please just think about the veterans and their sons and grandsons and this and that. Please, you idiots. I know you want to go up, but you can't indulge your inner wants and needs. Please, if you're too stupid to understand it, think about the fact that you're killing the greatest generation off. Will that do it at least? Meanwhile, they're doing conga lines at Polito's house because they're a different kind of person. They understand, they're educated. They're a little bit better. It's a great hit. Thank God one of his moles was out there, man, to get the picture. They should have gotten more pictures. To
get the picture and send it to Turtle Boy, who broke the story. Some people gave him credit. The Lieutenant Governor called him a blogger, which is what he is. But I've told this to Turtle Boy before.
Why was he offended by that? He tweeted out that he was offended by being called a blogger. I don't know why.
Well, they didn't use his name or among other things. And I saw one of the TV stations did the same thing. And it's like, if you want to print out of principle because you hate Turtle Boy or whatever, to ignore him or minimize him, that's fine. But you can't then steal off his table. There's such a thing as just minimal general ethics here. Yes. And he went out there, he did the hard work, he put himself out there, and he got it. So this other crap, this is.
And you know what? He's performing such a service. I know we sit here and we fillet him all the time, Turtle Boy, but I don't know if he's the best reporter. He might be the only reporter in New England. No offense to your fine staff at the Lowell Sun, but this story doesn't break if not for Turtle. I mean, you could send that picture to the Globe. You could send it to the Herald. They wouldn't even know what to do with it in this day and age. They don't have journalists. They have advocates. They have ideologues. They have kids out of college who are just trying to string a few paragraphs together and get a byline. Turtle Boy's goal when he wakes up is to break a story, and he breaks more than anybody. Just this weirdo sitting in Worcester, in front of his computer, and he breaks more stories than anybody. And this was a good one because there's nothing better, as you know, Shattuck, nothing better than catching somebody in power just being a flat out hypocrite. I mean, those are the best stories. Yesterday we had Karen Polito, Karen with a Y, but aptly named Karen Polito, And then we had the worst governor in America. Charlie Baker's number 2 on the list. No, number 3 on the list. The worst governor in America, Gretchen Whitmer. Shit, I can't put her ahead of Cuomo. Cuomo's the worst governor in America. Number 2 was Gretchen Whitmer, whose husband wanted to go boating over Memorial Day weekend because, he's special. No one else was supposed to go boating. They said no boating. And he said, "Don't you know who I am?"
Yeah.
Gretchen Whitmer. And he got caught. And he got caught. He got ratted out, which is good. And she denied it at first, which is a lie, a flat out lie. She knew what he did, but she lied about it. And then when she got caught, she said, he was just joking. By saying my wife is the governor, that's a joke. Tell me the jokey part there.
Yeah, no, and it goes against human nature to be trounced on like that. It's like watching somebody when you've been waiting in line, watching somebody just skip the line and go right to the front. It is wholly offensive, and it builds this resentment. No wonder the guys at the marina just ratted him out. The same thing used to happen to John Kerry. Every summer, he'd act like a jerk on the Cape, and the Herald would get 5,000 phone calls a day. People have no patience for this kind of thing. No. This kind of thing where they're valuing themselves over other people looking down on them. It elicits, it evokes a visceral response, and I'm glad it does. She unfortunately may be your next vice president, Jerry.
No chance. There's not a chance in hell. She has a bad vibe about her. I mean, I could be wrong. You're a political junkie, but I look at Gretchen Whitmer. I see like an evil character in a movie or TV show. She looks like those twins in The Shining, all grown up. I mean, she just has a look in her eye like she could, rip your heart out and eat it in front of you. She's got that. I don't know what it is. Something about her feels so cold, inhumane. Right. We've seen the way she's treated her people. We've seen the way she treated a 77-year-old barber. Not only she shut him down, she took his license. She wants to ruin the man. She wants to ruin his life. Has she said much about Jaylen Hayden, the 20-year-old thug who beat up his roommate in the nursing home? That the reason Jaylen Hayden was there, the reason two reasons. One, he tested positive. So what else are you going to do with a 20-year-old who tests positive but put him in a nursing home? That's what Democrat governors do. And 2, he had mental problems. He was unstable. So they put him in a nursing home because that's what Gretchen Whitmer decided the place he should be. That's disqualifying, Shattuck.
To you.
Cuomo is no longer presidential timber. If Joe Biden pulled out today, nobody is going to advance, Cuomo's name or put him at the top of the list anymore. We know what an incompetent mess he is in New York. We know that now. I mean, hell, right. There's a new phrase that's been coined. It's called Cuomocide. Cuomocide. Instead of homicide, we have Cuomocide. That's what did you call a tyrant who puts coronavirus positive patients in nursing homes and, wipes out thousands of elderly. That's what Cuomo did. How he's still,
he's a guy so fond to call it the European virus, and it could fairly be called the New York virus, at least in Massachusetts. New York seems to be the common factor. It seems to certainly be ground zero for this thing. The malfeasance he showed by, you're right, in interring people into these nursing homes where they're sure to die. That's a tough one, man. And then in the comedy show with his brother, while that's happening, that's a different look. And I think there's too many people who are dead now. But Whitmer, by the way, you say that she's evil and she's got an evil look, and there's something that looks very pernicious about her. Well, that's why Democrats like her, because they want somebody like that to take down Trump. They want somebody with fangs to take down the evil man.
Well, and who's better than Elizabeth Warren at that? She's an attack dog. She is vicious. If you want somebody to just attack, and we know you can't have a penis, that's disqualifying. Mm-hmm. And he told Charlemagne that he was considering a number of African American women, including Stacey Abrams, Kamala Harris. That's more likely because he has to make up for the damage he did when he was with Charlemagne the God. But I say no way on Whitmer. The country is getting to know Whitmer, and they don't like what they see. That 77-year-old barber was on TV. He was on, I think it was Laura Ingraham last night telling his story. He's not going away. And that video of Jaylen Hayden pounding his roommate and that vicious assault, that's not going away. It's just like with Cuomo. I mean, I know they love him. I know his brother, caresses his hair on TV every night, but the rest of the country kind of knows how incompetent Andrew Cuomo is. I don't think you can't afford that obviously Biden's not going to pick him, but if Biden bows out, in the summer with this advancing dementia that we see, and we can see it again. We saw it again yesterday on The View. I mean, when you're a liberal and you can't handle an appearance on The View, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. That's a bad sign.
Well, not only that, but you've got the conservative on The View doing defense for you during this entire segment. It wasn't in the thing that you tweeted out, but if you watched it when it aired, Meghan McCain was, taking shots for him left and right, doing whatever she could to diffuse any animosity or antagonism going his way. But also the other problem is, like you're saying, that Trump essentially right now is running unopposed. Biden's a walking entity at this moment, but he's going to need a running mate who is certainly an executive. That's Whitmer, and somebody who is sentient and can be aggressive. So I would say that
maybe. I mean, that'd be fine with me. She's good theater, and she's got skeletons, so I'm all for it. But I tweeted out the doctored video of Biden because it was funnier, and it's real. It's him stammering and stumbling, unlike me. But I gotta say that The View, and I guess they are, they're looking after the women. They have the women who have accused Biden. They kind of have their side, have their back. I was impressed. They asked, what's her name again? Sunny
Hostin, right?
Sunny asked right off the bat. She asked about 7 women who have accused him of inappropriate contact. They don't say that on CNN. They don't say that at the New York Times or the Globe. They say Tara Reid's an outlier, and there's no history of this with Joe Biden. They say that, they lie about that all the time. Sunny right off the bat said 7 women. She said there's a pattern here, which is the exact narrative that Biden has tried to play down, or Biden's surrogates have tried to play down, that there's a pattern. They went right to it. Let's hear from Sunny.
You've also been criticized about your interactions with women. 7 women accused you of touching them without their permission. While they didn't say it crossed the line into sexual harassment, they did say that you made them feel uncomfortable. And many have been critical about how you've handled it since the accusations. Even Speaker Nancy Pelosi said this. She said, to say I'm sorry you were offended is not an apology. It's I'm sorry I invaded your space. Now, you have come out and said, I get it, especially because we're in a different time now. We're in the Me Too movement. But are you sorry for what you did? Are you prepared to apologize to those women?
Look, here's the deal. Everybody has to be much more aware of the private space of men and women. It's not just
everybody
women.
Has to be.
And I am much more cognizant of that. But I am so, like, for example, I actually thought in my head when I walked out here, I mean,
I know
we're friends.
It's tricky.
No, but I have to be aware of it. So I have to be more cognizant, and we all have to be more. A woman or a man has a right to say, particularly women, say, no, this is not my space. They shouldn't have to say no.
Imagine having so many accusations against you that you don't know if you can hug your friend.
That's the undoctored. That's the real version, right? That's not doctored. That's
not doctored.
He starts answering, and he doesn't give any answer, and he says, "Oh, here's the deal." Or for example, he doesn't know what he's going to say, and he says, "For example, example what?" I mean, he is a mess on this topic. Literally, what he just did right there was admit to what she said, right? Because I have to know their parameters now. So he's admitting what he did then is not appropriate now. Like, it's not acceptable anymore. So sniffing like 10-year-old girl's hair, that used to be acceptable? Is that what he's saying?
And they said that there's 7 accusations. And sure, there might be 7 accusations, but there are countless images in video clips. And those aren't accusations. That's just B-roll laying around. That's just evidence that's out there. Yeah, and I love how Joy Behar says, it's tricky. It's tricky. It wasn't tricky when Kavanaugh, was being accused for something that happened in 1974. But this is tricky now. But they're idiots in the interview. But that's just
Tricky, right?
given. But this footage of Biden walking or shuffling to his car over the weekend on Sunday, mouth agape, eyes black. He seemed to be in a panic. Not knowing where to go, how to get in the car. It's as if in that 10 strides in towards his car, he forgot what he was doing or where he was.
It was a terrible image with the big black mask and the black the aviator shades. It didn't look good, and that hurt Hillary. A number of things hurt Hillary 4 years ago, but when she was walking, she looked old and frail. And I think the worst thing Biden has going for him as we look ahead to the one-on-one matchup on the trail in, I don't know, August, September, October, including debates. The worst thing he has going for him is the stamina issue. We know Trump, for all his faults, is tireless. We see it. The guy doesn't sleep. I don't think, we every time we think he's drunk tweeting, because that's the way he tweets, but he's not drinking. He's just goes all day, all night. He's got energy. He's old. He's 74 almost. Biden's going to be 78, but Biden looks it and Trump doesn't. Biden acts it, sounds it, and Trump doesn't.
Right. And I don't think he's leaving. I mean, you said that he's going to get out there. I don't think he's getting out there. I think they're going to cloister him as much as possible. And that's what you saw with the Charlemagne thing. Charlemagne saying, hey, it's been nice talking to you. We want you to come back in a couple of months and come and see us in the studio because we have a lot of questions. The Black community has a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions for you that we'd like to hash out with you. And Biden essentially said, I'm not coming there. If you're not already convinced that I'm the guy, then you ain't black. So
but think of this.
It shows that Biden doesn't intend to be courting people on the streets and glad-handing people. And two, that he's losing patience because he's losing his ability to operate. His verbal skills are gone. His cognitive skills are gone. And that's why he's doing.
Other than that, he's great.
Right. Other than the fact that over the weekend
he's tip top.
Joe Biden, he's doing fine.
But think of this, Shattuck. Think of this. The image, July turns to August and September. The image of him still in his basement when the rest of the world has gone out and gone about their business. That's going to happen. Those people in the Lake of Ozarks, that's the way much of the country thinks that this thing has passed. Mm-hmm. There are experts who think the worst is over. God knows young people aren't vulnerable. We know that now. We didn't know that 2 months ago. Fewer and fewer people are going to stay locked away. I mean, in fact, nobody is going to stay locked away in July and August unless you're, over 80 or over 300 pounds. You're going to get out there and live, even if you have to wear a mask and keep your distance. There's going to be no excuse for Biden to stay in the basement in July and August and September. And if he does, Dan Scavino and the Trump team is just going to mock the hell out of him. There'll be one, meme after another about Biden hiding Biden. He actually said that to Charlemagne. He said, I know they call me hiding Biden. And I'm thinking, you might not want to, put that thought in people's heads that you're hiding Biden, but it's going to be weird. Here's what every governor, I guess every red state governor should do today. What day is this? This is a Wednesday, right?
Right.
Today, every governor in every red state, every red state should announce that school starts June 1st. Is June 1st a weekend? No, it's not. It's next Tuesday, June 1st, and say they're all going to go to school for a month. 1 month, every school, every public school, period. Elementary. They did it in France. 1.4 million kids went back to school in France. They tested them 70 tested positive for coronavirus. That's not a lot. That's
right.
If you went back to school, if you tested 1.4 million kids last year, you'd have a hell of a lot more than that testing for influenza or whatever or something.
Right.
Measles, mumps. I don't know. In England, they're going back to school. In France, all over Europe. So why aren't they going back to school in Texas or
You're right. And so you had, Kennedy assassination style coverage of the Ozarks Lake and a bunch of people waiting around and enjoying a beer and having fun. And now it doesn't seem like the evidence is now showing, it doesn't seem like it spreads outside. Children don't spread it. Doesn't seem like kids can get it to old.
Hey, keep that under your hat. Once people find out, I mean, I know like Charlie Baker, Andrew Cuomo, Gretchen Whitmer, they don't want you to know this. They want to remain in lockdown. Their goal is to remain in lockdown until November 3rd. Their goal is to keep people scared. The idea that kids are in danger. I still hear it. You hear people say, "Oh, you can't have kids go back." I mean, what if they're on the playground and they give it and then they bring it home? Well, A, they rarely get it. B, they even more rarely give it. It's not an issue. The best place for them is back at school. But whatever.
Right.
We're dealing with ignorant people. We're dealing with ignorant people who are easily swayed by these tyrants who don't want to cede any control, who want to control their states and want to hurt Trump. That's the bottom line right here and now. By the way, I want to check with you guys. When you saw the pictures of Lake of Ozarks, did that look like fun? I mean, I know I'm old, but did that look like fun?
It looked like a hell of a lot more fun than what I've been doing the last few months.
I don't generally share a pool, but
I mean, do you guys mind wading in other people's urine? Are you good with that?
That's fine.
I think a few beers in, actually, it could work out and be okay. By the way, speaking of the playgrounds, which now have Jersey barriers around them and concertina wire so that the kids don't jump in and make way for duckling statues, it seems like unclean surfaces don't seem to play a primary role either in this. So that's all gone too. But you had CNN and Anderson Cooper and Jake Tapper tweet out these stories. I think you talked about them yesterday, talking about the that they're spiking in some states that where people seem to be having fun and seem to be loosening the quarantine. The cases are increasing, without mentioning that the testing's increasing as well.
Right,
of course, that's going to make it increase. They're going to increase. And in a couple of months, they may increase for real too, because this thing comes back around. But you're right. So it is interesting. And I thought it was interesting that everybody at CNN seemed to, in unison, tweet this stuff and move this propaganda forward the same day that positive Wall Street information news was coming out, that the reopening had businesses exciting, that Wall Street futures were looking up, that it could mean possibly a rolling to quickly accelerating start to the economy. And you've got to think that Democrats are scared to death of that. Can you imagine?
Of course. But wouldn't that be news? Wouldn't that be a service to your viewers? Because a lot of them have kids and they're wondering when they go back to school. If you actually did, like the numbers in France or the numbers across Europe and these studies that, I mean, there was one I've mentioned many times in Italy where they tested 350 kids and not one tested positive. Kids aren't getting it. They're not giving it. Wouldn't that be a service to your viewers? I mean, it might mean they'll come out of their basements and go outside in the sunshine. Maybe they'll even, take a walk or take the kids, out to play in the yard without a mask. And CNN, MSNBC, the Globe. I mean, what's Kevin Paul DuPont at the Globe tweeting that all those kids at the, were basically college kids at the Lake of the Ozarks should go to the White House and give the president the virus. That's what he's saying.
KPD says the right thing to do is for all Lake Ozark partiers to be invited to White House celebration of reopening, high fives and conga lines.
I mean, they can't stand this. And DuPont is such a globie to his core. He blocked me, even though I never remember saying anything of tweeting anything about the guy. I mean, he's like a 70-year-old hockey beat writer who right now should be like in Edmonton covering a playoff game, but there's no hockey, so he's home tweeting about Trump. But here's the philosophy: the Globies, New York Times, the CNN, they wake up in the morning and they are offended if they see somebody who's not living in fear. The definition of Puritanism is the creeping feeling that somewhere somebody might be having fun. They don't like that thought. At least Puritans thought there was something, like biblical about it, that you shouldn't be sinning. But Globies hate the thought of anybody anywhere having fun, because this is Trump's America, and we're all supposed to be living in fear and hiding and, masks on and, worried about who's going to die tomorrow. If this thing goes away, or hell, as I've mentioned before, our guy Jordan Schachtel, this journalist who's been on top of this, tweeting about this, writing about this for months, he says it's over. The virus is over. He said the big companies are no longer working on a vaccine because it's not necessary.
Hmm.
He's been right a lot, and we're going to talk to him. Hopefully, we're going to talk to him soon. But that is bad news. That is, if you're a Globe, if you're Kevin DuPont at the Boston Globe, or you're Paul Krugman at the New York Times, or you're Chris Cuomo, Fredo, the worst news you could hear is this is going away soon, and then Trump is back on the camp. Then there's rallies, there's rallies again, and then there's momentum, and there's good feelings, and then the summer is the time where people kind of get their lives back. They hate that thought.
All you have to do is see that MSNBC thing. I think you tweeted it out too, with Katie Tur talking to her reporter who had the mask on.
Funny.
And saying that well, these people here don't seem to be concerned at all with this problem here, even though there's numbers are up at places. And Katie Turner's like, do they not care? Do they not have it? No, they don't seem to care at all. And some dude in a Packers shirt is not wearing a mask, and he said, "Hey, your camera guy's not wearing a mask." And the reporter says, "Well, that's right." And the guy says, "Half your crew's not wearing a mask." And they just have to take
the audio's not great. You can play it, Dave, but you can hear Katie Tur saying, "Boy, nobody seems to care. What's wrong with these people?" And the guy just looks and goes, "Your cameraman's not wearing a mask." And the reporter goes, "Yeah, I guess you're right. Like you got me. You got me." It's such an act. There's been a few. There's been a half dozen or so reporters who are caught taking the mask off as soon as the camera goes. As soon as the camera's off, it's just for show. By the way, if you're doing a live shot, like for any news channel, and you're doing how long is that? 2 minutes or something?
Yep.
Doesn't it make more sense to kind of take the mask off or pull it down rather than muffle and go, "Oh, here we are, we're on the Route 128." I mean, wouldn't you take your chances?
Oh, wasn't
take
that?
your chances. Those 2 minutes, you might get infected and die, and do your friggin' job and take your friggin' mask off.
Well, wasn't it Trump yesterday who was asked a question by a reporter wearing a mask, and he said, "Why don't you take your mask off?" They said, "No, I'll just speak louder." He said, "Oh, you're going to do the politically correct thing."
Right.
Like that.
No, yes, the disease due to Trump's inaction, because he was tweeting wildly. The disease is so fatal now that taking the mask off for that 1 second, with the exception of anywhere around Karen Polito's brother's house, is so fatal that if you take the mask off for just a nanosecond, you're dead. But that video was fantastic. And you're right, Jerry. It ultimately is about Trump. Most of the people in this country, certainly most of the people on Twitter, most of the people involved in the media, they don't give a bleep about this virus. This is only about Trump. There was this guy, a radio guy who used to be sane, liberal. This weekend, I made the mistake of trying to have conversations with liberals on Twitter. It's over now. But anyway, he said, Trump did this, Trump killed a million, Trump did all this, and he said, why do you keep defending him? He did this, that, he put kids in cages, Tom, kids in cages. So then I thought, okay, I'm going to start a conversation with this guy. I'm going to see if we can reach out and salvage it. So I get him a picture. I tweet him a picture from McAllen, Texas, of one of the ICE's facilities. It's a warehouse with chain link fence. And there's a bunch of kids lying on blankets. And I sent him, I said, would you consider this a cage? And he said, yes, I sure as hell would. And you should too. It's inhumane, yada, yada, yada. And I said, okay, just so you know, that's from 2014. That's President Obama's thing. And I wasn't trying to dunk on him, really, Jerry. I was just trying to say, okay, so don't you think that was Obama? That was your guy. Don't you think maybe there's context for why those kids were there, and there's something more happening? Maybe the fact that there were tens of thousands of people coming over the border, and you can only absorb so much. He blew it off immediately and said, nice try. Trump has killed 100,000 people. You sleep with that. It's like, Jesus. Nobody
you say why? Why did he? I don't even want to do it again, but why? Oh, because he should have shut down the country earlier. And as he points out, as his surrogates point out, when he shut down on March 1st, there was one fatality. One. You're going to shut down the world's most important economy with one deceased person. I mean, that would have been insane. He would have been vilified. The same people would have killed him for that. It just doesn't hold water. I don't think it's going to hold water. I mean, obviously it doesn't help that you're president during a pandemic and the economy is crashing, but the economy is crashing because of the reaction to the pandemic, not the pandemic. You can never say the reason, we have 40 million unemployed is the pandemic. No, the reason we have is because the country was shut down, that schools were shut down and businesses and, driving ranges were shut down, which is the new insane overreach the driving ranges. So you can't go by yourself and hit a bucket of golf balls. And the people that own them are going to be put out of business because of tyrants like Charlie Baker and Andrew Cuomo and Gretchen Whitmer. These people, Gretchen Whitmer's, you're not allowed to buy, paint,
No.
or gardening supplies or toys. She has the stores, has those sections roped off, and she defends it. Says, yeah, we need to do that. Why? I mean, they don't even know why anymore. They just want to flex their muscles. It is getting crazy out there, and every day, Shattuck, there's a new video, there's a new story that just goes viral. And yesterday, of course, it was the new Karen in Amy Cooper in Central Park, the investment banker who went nuts because a black guy was videotaping her with her dog. And as Turtle Boy pointed out, there's no nice guy. There's no good guy in this scenario because he's I don't know if you call him a jerk. He's kind of being a dink.
Oh, totally.
He's videotaping her and threatening to take her dog. Essentially, is what he's doing. And she flipped out. He's got it all on video, and she said she was going to call the cops. We've all heard and seen the video. I guess we could play some of Amy Cooper, and it's like one of these. I don't know. It's like a Tom Wolfe, story, or
Totally.
we're just Snope from there. This miserable woman, and I'm not defending her. Amy Cooper seems like an awful human being, and I don't care about her. I don't care what happens to her. She's screaming that she's going to call the cops and say an African American was attacking her. She just lost it on him. And while she's doing this, she's dragging her dog around by the collar because the leash isn't on. So
he's recording me and threatening me and my dog. There is an African American man. I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog.
The ensuing fallout, she loses her job at Franklin Templeton. Probably a good job. Her life, her name is out there, face is out there, the video's out there. Her life is over as she knew it. They took the dog away because she was dragging it around by the collar. Christian Cooper, the guy with the camera, who was bird watching.
Yeah.
Bird watching.
Yeah, the bird watchers get a look like twice a century, and now they get this publicity. That this is the kind of people they are. He is terrible in this. She is, of course, totally vile in this and toxic. And it's so interesting. She's a good liberal. She's a good progressive. She does all the things you're supposed to do. But she has a top of mind strategy right there ready to how to entrap and hopefully harm a black man. I'm going to tell him there's a black man here. The cops here. You might get a shoulder to the neck and back. Your breathing might be impeded.
We'll get to that.
That could happen to you. Because the guy tampered with her dog, which is also creepy. Both of these people suck.
They do suck. And when I first heard it, I said, this can't be real. This guy was birding. They said he was birding, looking at birds. And by the way, her dog doesn't seem like if you're just a nosy, if you're a Karen and you see someone whose dog is off leash, do you really care unless it's like a Rottweiler or a pit bull or it's roaming around and it's like sniffing you? What do you care? That didn't look like a dog that should bother anybody.
Oh, that was early Karen culture. The people with dogs off leash, the reaction, that was early Karen culture. I used to let my dog, a greyhound, the most docile things in the world. I used to let her walk in the Audubon area in Belmont, and joggers would run away, sprint away, and blow whistles and say, he's looking at me, he's prancing at me. It was the worst thing in the world. And I've had a lot of guys, when I had another guy jogger ran by me when my puppy was running in the woods saying, oh, there's a lost dog over there. There's a lost dog over there. And I said, no, that's my puppy. He said, oh, well, he's not on a leash, so I didn't know.
I hate those people. This guy, you know what he did? He out entrapped her. That's what he did. Christian Cooper out entrapped Amy Cooper because she thought she was trapping him by saying, I'm going to call the cops and say you're attacking me or whatever. And he knew she was doing this on video. And he knew as soon as that video went on social media that her life was over, and he reveled in it. They're two awful people. But I was following Twitter, and it was one thing after another, people saying she should be, she lost her job. They took the dog away. The guy came out, I think it was a city councilman, and said she should be banned from Central Park, like banned for life from Central Park. And I tweeted out, are we going to rip the gold fillings off her rotting corpse? Just because it was overkill. It was the Twitter mob on, in high gear. That's what it was. You saw it. I've seen it before. And I got ratioed, man. I got people saying, you're defending her, which I wasn't doing, obviously. I think Turtle Boy was first pointing out what a dink that Christian Cooper was. I mean, obviously she's not a sympathetic figure, but at what point do you say she didn't hurt like physically assault anybody?
No.
Just used words. She lost her mind. She made a really vile threat. But at what point do you say, okay, the mob has spoken. We're gonna have her drawn and quartered in the middle of Central Park. Will that be good? Will you be happy with that?
No, you're right. She nuked herself. It was a suicide vest right there. Nothing more needs to be done. She is destroyed. She is over. There's nothing more. I mean, it was you can compare it to the Michael Richards stand-up routine, 15 years ago, whatever, at the Improv, when he was getting heckled by the crowd, and he exploded with the N-word and this and that, and the guy he's done. He's been
his whole life, right? That's a good example, because I didn't even understand what he said. If this were 100 years ago, I'd stick a fork in you or something, and go, that was just a guy that lost his mind. The hecklers got under his skin, and he snapped. And you're right, his life was over then. You could still laugh at George Costanza or Jason Alexander and God knows Julie Louis-Dreyfus and Seinfeld, but you can't, laugh at anything Michael Rich. Hell, he doesn't do anything. He's just gone. He's persona non grata. But here's Jaylen Brown, Celtics player, and he's kind of a socially conscious guy. Jaylen Brown says that Karen calls her Karen. That's Amy Cooper. As an example of someone who was aware of her privilege and the biases and prejudice against black men, and she decided to weaponize it, she should be arrested. Losing her job is not enough. Now, Jaylen Brown is a thoughtful guy. We've heard from him many, many times. But my question would be, and it got 7,300 likes and over 1,000 retweets. What would you arrest her for? What would I'm just asking Jaylen Brown, smart guy. What you played Jaylen here, Shattuck. What would the charge be?
Well, I guess whatever the charge is for swatting, I guess, when you have the cops converge on somebody's house, you say that somebody's in there with hostages and has guns, whatever, and then a SWAT team kicks down the door, and you're hoping that an incident will happen that will lead to gunfire and a guy gets killed. Maybe, I thought that tweet, by the way, was very well put. Maybe whatever the swatting law is, it seems to me she was trying to set up a situation where the cops would be hostile to this guy.
But it didn't happen, did it?
Right. No, it didn't happen.
So what would the charge be? You said it's a great tweet. What would the charge be? I mean, Jaylen Brown, he's got a lot of I can comment and see if he answers me on Twitter, but what would you charge her with? It is amazing to me when people think like words. I mean, we know you can't yell whatever, the fire in the theater and all that, but if it's just words that lead to no actions, what would you charge her with? I mean, if you're right, if the cops came in and she filed a false report and pulled a Jussie Smollett, obviously there's a crime. But what would the crime be as we know the facts to be right now?
I don't know the name of the crime. I don't know if there technically is one on the books.
I don't think Jaylen Brown knows the name of the crime or any of the people
but I don't think he was going too far overboard. I mean, with everything up until the arrest part, maybe, because I can't justify that. I don't know enough about the law.
So losing her job, she lost her job. She, probably lost all her friends. She's a New York liberal. So you think anyone's gonna invite her over? For
no,
coffee?
It's enough. Like the guy. Remember the guy also like 10 years ago who hassled the girl at Chick-fil-A. Asked for the water. It was free water day, and he said, by the way, so he drove in as a guy in a Beamer, total jerk, marketing guy, and he's like, by the way, why do you work for a hateful company? It's homophobic, hateful company. Just so you know, you work for a hateful company, and they hate me. They don't want me to live free, and so just so you know, you're disgraceful. And your company's. And he was berating this poor girl there, and he was And after he drove away, he said, well, I feel pretty good about what I did. And that guy got destroyed. And he was a total dick. And he had it coming, and it was beautiful. And he lost his job because the company wanted nothing to do with that. And that guy still, you can find here and there's YouTube clips. He's essentially like mowing lawns now. He is dead. You know,
this woman, just think of her life now. She's lost her job, probably lost her friends. They took her dog. They want to ban her from Central Park. And, people sort of, thoughtful people like Jaylen Brown say, arrest her. So she, her life is ruined. I mean, she is Sherman McCoy. Her life is over. What,
Jerry, how do you take back that thought that she had? It's one of the most ugliest thoughts like that we've ever caught. You can't, I mean, the fact that that's swimming around in her head, certainly she knows the situation with police and African Americans and interactions and the long history, certainly.
Are you saying you should be charged with a crime because of thoughts that are swimming in your head?
I'm saying that it's unrecoverable.
Hell, Shattuck. I mean, you really think, what are you, they're going to arrest her and then say, tell us your thoughts?
First of all, has the Democratic presidential candidate confirmed that this guy is black? I don't know for sure. He's been certified by Biden as being black.
I saw he was on with Don Lemon. You must have seen him on CNN, and he doesn't say like I want to ruin her life. He didn't say he wants her arrested. He knows he set her up and he got her good, and her life is ruined. But I would love to
She got what she deserves, and that's enough.
Yeah,
right?
but
That's enough. Her employer did the right thing. She clearly, her reputation is ruined. To your point, she's not going to get a job like she once had. Enough has been done. We don't have to endorse anything else, Jaylen Brown.
Okay, you guys tell me. You've been on Twitter and social media. Who has been condemned more, vociferously, Jaden Hayden or Amy Cooper? Jaden Hayden, in case you forgot, was the 20-year-old monster who beat up the 75-year-old Army veteran in the nursing home. And he was there because Gretchen Whitmer put him there. And it's the most vile, disturbing video you will ever see. This woman, I think people, because this woman, they think she's rich and privileged and all that, they're enjoying her, self-immolation more than anything. But I'm telling you, obviously he committed a violent crime, and she said vile things. She didn't assault anybody. I don't know. Again, we'll check. We'll tweet at Jaylen Brown, see what his answer would be.
I don't need to. First of all, that 75-year-old guy, if you listen to the audio, is murmuring mercy, mercy, while he's getting beat on, laid to waste by this.
Why hasn't Trump called him yet? When does Trump call him? That has to, unless he's got.
You want to take away all the empathy from the guy, have him bond with Trump. I don't think that's a good idea for Trump to call him at the moment. I guess he should give him some attention, but I don't know if that's going to help his cause in that state too. I don't know. There's too many people who've gone crazy on too many sides. I think I think that there's a lot of outreach that Trump should be doing. Maybe he will be doing it. His communication team now is better than it's ever been, and they have been more proactive. But my problem with her, and I don't think she needs to be arrested. She doesn't need to be arrested. But to have something like that in your mind, what else does she have in her mind? What other diabolical?
Well, you can arrest her if you want, but you got to have a charge. You got to have a crime. That's all I'm asking. Jaylen Brown wants her arrested. Tell me the crime, and go for it. All right, go for it. I don't think we're going to get that. I think at some point people will be happy that her life has been destroyed since she lost her job. It was probably a damn good job. Her neighbors are going to shun her. Maybe her landlord will kick her out of her East Side apartment. The dog was taken away. Maybe they'll give it back. Maybe not.
They got to give the dog back. Obviously, the dog is probably a playful dog. He's hanging there, twisting around. She was trying to make a cell phone call to sick the police on a black guy, and the dog unfortunately had to pay the price while it was happening.
Did she actually make the call? Because do we hear the audio? The audio of the 911 call, because that's not going to help her cause. That's going to be it's going to be another nail in Amy's. Here's what I want to find out, because I'll revel in her misery as much as anyone if I find out she's a big, whatever. She probably, Biden's too moderate for her. She's probably a Bernie supporter, maybe a Liz Warren. She's a Liz Warren supporter for sure.
The fact that we don't know her political affiliation for sure tells you that every elitist establishment reporter has found out her political affiliation and has tucked it away quietly.
Yeah.
No, I think we can figure out who she is, which also shows you how dangerous that is, because she's probably a big like Black Lives Matter person. But there you go, man. This virus, it has been a horrific thing, but it certainly, between the virus and the Trump administration, has exposed people for their real core selves in a way that you would had never have known, with all of these veneers of everything. And even with Trump saying moronic, indefensible stuff about Scarborough and all that idiocy and the other stuff he says, the reaction from people who are supposed to be, more ethical and, better bred, in circles, that has exposed them. I mean, there's nobody decent on Twitter almost. There's almost.
And you know what? Her reaction, you've seen it other places. I mean, she made it racial and she made that threat, which again, if it's a crime, let me know. But what she did was just lose her mind. And you've seen that in other places. We've seen that, in people in stores. You see the crowd that chased the woman out of the grocery store in Staten Island just to get out because she didn't have her mask on. That was a little scary.
Right. Well, isn't that a perfect parallel for Trump too? Because you see her with the mask on, and maybe you're saying, you know what, in the small store with the mask, with the regulation, with the store not wanting to get in trouble, etc. Maybe she should have humored people and at least had a mask.
Right.
And then these hyenas come barking at her and mobbing, get out. And then a woman in the Lark drives over and she's screaming at her too, get out. And immediately you say, okay, that person might have been wrong, but you guys suck. You're more vile than she is.
And a month ago, Tom, the Surgeon General was telling us masks are bad, and now it's a reason to, it's like friggin' Salem witch trials. Let's burn this woman to the stake. She doesn't have a mask on. Let's get her. This is an episode. I'm going to mention this. We're going to get to Minneapolis, which is why Karen Amy Cooper's only going to be in the news for a day. It has been overshadowed. But have you seen the show Black Mirror on Netflix?
No, I've heard all about it, though.
It's
very creepy and scary.
So my friend Mike O'Malley, we had on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, he's now in Snowpiercer, and he's playing another great character. He is a great actor and a great writer and a really good guy. But anyway, he texts me and says, don't wait, don't ask any questions, just watch episode 6, season 3. I'll get the exact episode of Black Mirror. Don't call me later. And it is wild, it is disturbing, and it's about the hashtag culture. And the question is, who's the real bad guy? The person that the mob is going after, or the mob? Who's the real dark force here? What is the most disturbing part here? The person, the bad guy, because they show the mob go after a politician that everybody hated, or a reporter who uncovered something that they didn't like, so the mob went after this reporter, and then the Twitter mob, the social media mob, went after another. And in the end, I don't want to give it away because it's so good and it's so disturbing, but in the end, you're left wondering, who's the real villain, the bad guy. Okay, ready? Season 3, episode 6. And you can thank me later. Watch season 3, episode 6. You don't have to watch every episode of Black Mirror, but I never heard of it or never knew anything about it. And was compared to, Twilight Zone, like modern Twilight Zone. I guess that would be it. I wouldn't really call it science fiction, but it's bizarre and disturbing, and it will leave you awake after you watch it, wondering, how it all happened. But anyway.
Yeah. By the way, the O'Malley interview was really enlightening to see how stuff works in Hollywood, and scripts and gigs and shows get canceled and stuff. And
I know.
The Snowpiercer guy, that was great. He's what a non-a-hole he is too.
He's the best. He's the best guy, and he does
not lost his mind.
He is not, and he's just a regular guy from Nashua who made it big because he's smart and he's good at his job, and he's living in LA and having a great time. And you're right, he has these great projects like his show that I was in, Survivor's Remorse, with LeBron James, produced it. LeBron James was in it, and it lasted 4 seasons, and it got critically acclaimed, and it was funny. And then just one day he wakes up and says, stars, is moving on. So, so it's
Yeah.
okay. You move on to the next project.
Got to
And then
launch your series during a pandemic, Jerry. That's one of the lessons we've learned here.
I think Snowpiercer is doing well. He's in that with Jennifer Connelly, who's awesome. But let me tell you about Shea Concrete, and then we're going to get to Minneapolis, the story that will engulf, that will overshadow everything in the next few days, maybe the next few weeks. We will see. But Shea Concrete, you know about these guys. These guys are great. They're a fourth generation owned and operated business that's working hard day in and day out to be your trusted precast concrete partner. They're open for business. They're all over New England. 4 state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities all over the place. Stop in, give them a call. If you're a contractor, let me tell you some of the things Shea can deliver to your job site ready for installation. Water and wastewater products, barriers and bullards, stairs and bulkheads, electrical and communication products. The list goes on and on. These guys can do it all. Go in there, wear your mask, talk to them, see them, get on their website. You can learn more, and I promise you, they'll have answers to all your questions. If you're an engineer, Shea can help you design your next project. They got a bunch of these smart engineers who can work with you and design what you've got in mind. Give them a call, or for more information, or give them a call for an estimate or more information, or just log on to SheaConcrete.com. That is Shea, SHEA, SheaConcrete.com. This is, I don't know, I guess I was going to say good news for Amy Cooper, because Amy Cooper, her video at Central Park with her dog choking her dog. I mean, her life's already over, but it is going to be overshadowed just like every other story. This is a disturbing story out of Minneapolis. If you're just catching up, a guy named George Floyd was killed by the cops. George Floyd is black. The cop who has his knee on George Floyd's neck is white. The other cop is Asian, who is standing by him. 4 cops have lost their jobs. The white cop's name is Derek Chauvin. They've been fired right away. 4 cops got fired, as well they should be, because it is unbelievably disturbing. And you first see it, you think, George Floyd was swinging at the cops and kicking them, and whatever. Maybe he had a knife or a weapon. Then they have an extended video. There are people, there are witnesses. That's what is mind-boggling. I feel like there has to be more to the story, Shattuck, because when you see Derek Chauvin, he's like looking at the cameras that are recording him. The people, the bystanders on the sidewalk, are telling him, what are you doing, man? Lay off. What are you doing? They're trying to stop him. Chauvin has his knee on the back of the neck of George Floyd for 8 minutes. And George Floyd can be heard saying, "I can't breathe." And he didn't let up. And George Floyd was rushed to the hospital and died. I mean, I don't know what we're missing. I mean, maybe the disappointing thing for the mob this time will be that there's not more to the story, that it's just flat out murder, and Derek Chauvin is charged any day now, any minute now. Could it be that simple?
It's awful. And you would figure maybe there was a tussle beforehand. Maybe the guy was hopped up on something. Maybe the worst possible thing was happening before. Who knows? But Jesus Christ. I mean, how many times are we going to replay this? You've got your knee in his back. He's saying, "I can't breathe." Give him the benefit of the doubt, for God's sakes. We've seen this happen before. You're just slaughtering somebody in the street like this and in front of people. How is the training still like this, cops? And I don't know what led up to it. But if he was jaywalking, or they suspected that he stole a pack of fruit roll-ups from a store, and that turned into this, that's un-effing acceptable. And I do not. I have big problems with the Black Lives Matter movement, because it was built on a couple of apocryphal things. But Jesus Christ, there is. There's too many of these. Too many of these, and even the ones not involved in the cops, the Ahmaud Arbery thing, where the guy's jogging or not jogging, it doesn't really matter, and civilians deputize themselves and hunt this kid down and kill him. I mean, Jesus, what are we doing here? It's disgusting. That should be.
I mean, honest to God, I've read everything I could read here. I'm looking at stories right now. I don't even see. Like, generally when you're doing a story, you try to have some balance and bring in someone to defend. There's no defense. There's no. I guess you're right. You could say hopped up on something, but it's being compared to Eric Garner, New York, or Mike Brown, Big Mike Brown, which set off the riots in Ferguson. Big Mike Brown tried to kill a cop. Big Mike, he went through we saw the video of him in the trashing the convenience store, and then tried to grab the gun or the keys from the cop, Eric Wilson, I believe it was. I mean, he was out of control. That cop was justified. Even Obama's Justice Department said, Mike Brown was at fault.
Right.
Who is going to say that George Floyd is at fault? And if you're doing a show, if you're whatever, you're Sean Hannity or Rachel Maddow, whoever, you're going to try today to get another side of the story, because obviously you're going to have plenty of people who are going to come on. They're already all over Twitter. There's a million celebrities, Justin Bieber, Ice Cube, Ice-T, they're all tweeting about it. And you have all these photos and all these all this video. You have he's got a lawyer now. He's got the same lawyer as the Arbery family, Ahmaud Arbery, this,
right?
Guy Benjamin Crumb.
Yeah,
he's already tweeted out the cops' names and badge numbers and said they need to be charged with murder. The video is all you need to see. No investigation necessary. He tweets out. I mean, I'm sorry, Esquire, lawyer, counselor, but you do need an investigation. The guy will have a defense. My only question to you, Shattuck, is what is Derek Chauvin's defense going to be? I mean, the other cops, they're in trouble. They've lost their job. And maybe this guy Tao with his partner Tao. Maybe he'll.
What is his defense going to be? It's got to be some kind of self-defense thing, I assume, if they've got anything at all. I don't know if they have anything at all. But the bigger problem is now you say, well, okay, so this one was caught on camera. What about all the other ones that weren't caught on camera? The same thing with Ahmaud Arbery.
I don't care. But Tom, forget that. You can't. I mean, like this story I'm looking at right now goes into Eric Gardner and this guy and that guy, and pretty soon it'll be, it'll just be no different than every other. It'll be Rodney King. But I want to focus on this and find out what it's. He's charged with forgery. By the way, forgery, last I checked, was not a violent crime.
Yeah, no.
Here's the police spokesman. Says, quote, his name is John Elder, Minneapolis police spokesman. It says that Floyd was ordered to step from his car. After he got out, he physically resisted officers. Officers were able to get the suspect into handcuffs and noted he appeared to be suffering medical distress. He was taken by ambulance and died a short time later. That's all fine. Even if he resisted, what is the knee on the neck for 8 minutes? Why? He's handcuffed face down. I hate to, they're already rioting. They're throwing this video. If you haven't seen it, they're throwing, rocks and stuff at the cops' cars. They trashed a cop car that wasn't occupied overnight in Minneapolis. It's not good. I mean, the weather's good and people are stir crazy already. This has all the elements of a violent couple of days coming in Minneapolis and maybe other places. And I'm looking at saying this Derek Chauvin guy has already been fired. He's going to be charged. He's going to go to trial. I want to know what he's going to say. What's his lawyer's going to say? Because it just seems so just unnecessary and so, sadistic. I mean, he's holding his knees on the neck and the bystanders can hear it. There's footage. There's audio.
Yes.
When he says, please, 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 I can't breathe. Please, man. That's what
Jesus
he's
Christ.
saying as the cop.
It is.
All
I
he has to do is take
think
his knee off. If he doesn't have his knee on there, George Floyd can't go anywhere.
Right. I've got to think that there's probably a bureaucratic reason for the procedure. And just like with the Eric Garner thing,
Oh, right, yeah.
By that, saying that is protocol, that you do this. You get the guy, you get the stick to the neck, and then you. So there's probably some kind of procedural thing that they're hiding behind. And so they're at this crossroads where the guy is in duress in front of you and maybe slipping away. But at the same time, you're going by the book, and you've got people filming you, and it's just terrible. And it's why you can't be pushing interactions with civilians and police on people. But it happens too often. I know you want to stick with this case only, Jerry, but this might be one of those reasons. Just like with the Eric Garner thing, is you've got this city that wants to jack up taxes on everybody. You got to make sure everybody's paying them. So when somebody's selling cigarettes and not paying taxes to the state, you roll up on them, and then that kind of thing happens. So,
but that cop got acquitted, correct? I mean, he was following procedure, which was because the mayor wanted the money for the cigarettes. He wanted the tax money. But here's what's I don't think I've ever seen this before in the case of Eric Garner or any other police brutality case. There's a passerby walking by, and they have the audio. He says, "Bro, you've got him down. At least let him breathe."
Jesus.
Another guy says, "He's not even resisting arrest. He's human, bro." The officer replies, quote, "This is why you don't do drugs, kids." The bystander says, "This ain't about drugs, bro. He's human." He says, "You're enjoying it. Look at you, your body language, you bum. You know that's bogus right now." That's from a person watching this unfold. So even if, say, George Floyd didn't die, say he just got hurt, say separated his shoulder or hurt his neck, this would be a big deal. He freaking died. I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand, what Derek Chauvin's lawyer or the police union lawyer is going to say. I don't see a defense, so I don't see any reason this guy shouldn't be charged, convicted, and sent away, which will be a lovely way to spend the rest of your life. Derek Chauvin is going to go to prison, and what happens to his partner? Or the other 3 cops who were fired, I guess they're fired for not stopping him. Is that what the explanation is?
I would think that they're going to face charges too. I think everybody's going to go to prison, or we'll see once we get the facts of the thing. But I mean, sometimes, Jerry, and we support the law enforcement, and they have a very tough job. But sometimes there are bad seeds out there, and sometimes, like in Chicago and South Carolina, sometimes they snuff out people, and then they're black and white who get snuffed out.
I see. Right. I support police, and because I support police, I would like to see this guy. I'm glad he's fired. I'm glad they were fired. I hope he's tried and convicted. Unless there's more to the story, this is the most heinous act of police brutality I've ever seen. Although you're right, in South Carolina, the cop who shot the suspect in the back as he was running away, that was pretty bad. This is insane. 8 minutes, start the clock, 8 minutes. Dave Cullinane could run a mile in 8 minutes. That's a long freaking time. And there are people saying, stop, don't do this. What are you doing? Stop. This, in the age of, cell phones where everyone's got a camera and a mic, I'm not sure there's any getting away with this, getting out of this. I think Derek Chauvin is your public enemy number 1 today. And his trial his perp walk is going to get ugly. I hope, unlike Ferguson, I hope they don't victimize the, innocent people in the city and the, innocent store owners or homeowners and start trashing the whole neighborhood out of protest, because, I don't blame people for being pissed. I don't blame them.
The more I think it's freaking incredible, actually. The entire, the New York thing was, the slogan was, "I can't breathe." So you would think that every police force around the country would say, you know what, we're just not going to do, just to, as a housekeeping issue, is we're not going to do stuff that makes the guy not breathe, just to humor ourselves, in case somebody dies by not breathing while we're arresting them. Let's do other things that don't involve the lungs. How about that? And the fact that they didn't, They go right to it. And standing there, never, first of all, don't be in a position where you're sitting with your weight of your body knee on a prone man's neck on the hot street. That's also bad optics. I mean, there's so much disgusting about this. And I mean, what do you say? And it sucks because, you try to create a better national dialogue around things, but you get undermined by just rogue morons and vicious, and it sucks.
The picture is so bad. The audio, the visual, the visuals are so bad. The picture with Chauvin's knee right on Floyd's neck, right next to a police car or police SUV. He's got the sunglasses on his head, and he's staring up at the camera with just this look. He looks like an evil character in a movie.
Yeah.
And the look on Floyd's face as he's about to die is just incredible. His eyes are wide open. He genuinely looks like he's in distress, like he can't breathe. And the people watching this are begging the cop to let up. I mean, you're right. It sucks. This is awful. I think we're going to see. I mean, we haven't even heard from LeBron James yet. He could break out his "I Can't Breathe" T-shirt that he wore.
You're right.
After Eric Gardner. I mean, there's so many people, and this is going to be, again in the middle of a pandemic where there's not much else. That people are just sitting watching the news. They're going to get outraged by this, and I don't blame them. I mean, it's disturbing. And if you support the cops, you should want this guy. You want the book thrown at this guy. Maybe the question will be, how culpable are his fellow cops, or how culpable is his partner? Because I'd like to hear more about their role in this. But the guy Chauvin,
the fact that apparently
man walking,
this guy was asphyxiated by committee as they're all standing around, just waiting for the procedures to kick in. The fact that it was done by committee. If you're a parent of a black person in that city with a kid or somebody who's the size maybe of this guy, I mean, do you tell him to necessarily engage with the police when they say, "Hey, come over here," or do you tell him to run like hell?
Oh, and this is gonna get so ugly. It's gonna get bad. This is so bad. I don't get why it would be protocol. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's police protocol that when a violent suspect is on the ground, handcuffed, face down, handcuffed, you're supposed to put your knee on his neck. I mean, maybe, but if it's true, it's insane. He can't do anything. He can't go anywhere. He's face down on the pavement for forgery. And obviously they'll say he resisted arrest. And maybe he did, but guess what? They got him. He's under control. He's not going anywhere, especially not now. This is brutal. And it's going to get worse. We'll be talking about it for days and weeks and months, and maybe we'll try to.
It sucks. Actually, Jerry, this would be an opportunity for the president to do something or say something to at least be productive in the dialogue. But unfortunately, Jerry, he just tweeted.
Let me guess, Joe Scarborough. Let me guess.
You are correct, Jerry. Psycho Joe Scarborough is rattled not only by his bad ratings, but all of the things and facts that are coming out on the internet about opening a cold case in Capitol. He knows what is happening! ! This guy's asking for another impeachment, Jerry. I hate to tell you, if Democrats were smart, they cooked the last one up. They were going to cook a Russia one up. They could cook one up on this in a second and make it a referendum and force Republicans to defend this stuff. I mean, this is the problem. Unless he's got something on Scarborough, in which case this is really prescient and really excellent tweeting, and we all owe him an apology. But I'm starting to think that he doesn't.
This is going to be 24/7. This Minneapolis story is going to be 24/7. The police chief said the police chief's name is Medaria Arredondo. Announced that all four are now former employees of the Minneapolis police force. Quote, "We know there are inherent dangers in the profession of policing, but the vast majority of the work we do never required the use of force." And the partner, Derek Chauvin's the guy who did the act here, and his partner's name is Tao, T-O-U, Thao. And Tao was seen walking and pulling the guys out of the car with Chauvin, and I guess he could have stopped him. So he's in trouble too. And on top of that, Tom, they don't have masks on. The cops aren't wearing masks. Now they're in big trouble. Wait till De Blasio finds out. It is just, you've never seen more disturbing pictures.
Yeah.
I just tweeted out the Daily Mail story. Check it out. It's got a lot of pictures. It's got video of the family members talking, the lawyer talking. The story is very comprehensive, like all Daily Mail stories, but the pictures and the video will blow your mind. I tell you, it didn't blow my mind before we wrap this up, Shattuck, but I was surprised last night when I turned on Sean Hannity's show, which I often do. He's no Tucker, but he's good. And there was Robert Kraft chatting with Sean Hannity. I guess it was the Globe didn't have time enough to do a hit piece on Kraft for appearing on Hannity. Maybe tomorrow, maybe later today, they'll put Kevin DuPont on it. But I give Kraft credit. He knows that his association with Trump pisses off everybody, at the Globe, and everybody and all the politicians around here in his home state. And, he's stayed somewhat loyal to Trump, friendly with Trump, unlike Tom Brady. And he didn't have to go on Sean Hannity, but he did. Talked about donating his ring. He kind of gave a bizarre answer to Sean Hannity's question about Brady and Belichick. I don't know if you have that available, Dave, but he talked about Brady like he was still here, like he was still part of the team. It was a little weird.
Yeah.
But he looked good. He looked relaxed. He didn't have to, he wasn't asked about, about his massage friends at the massage parlor, asked if he thought that they might be time to let them go back to work. He didn't ask that. He did talk about the return of football, which I believe will be on time and it will be undeterred and not unaffected. They're going to have smaller crowds, but the season will begin as planned. Football.
I have the Brady if you want, but does Hannity do that a lot? I don't watch Hannity, and it's way past my bedtime, by the way. But
I saw you tweeting late last night, though.
I kind of was up late last night. Does he do kiss-ass interviews like that all the time? That was like a 3-minute suck fest of for no reason, by the way. There was really no reason to.
You guys know that. Sometimes you got to.
Oh, trust me, I'm a pro at it, but this is Hannity. I'm just wondering.
Hannity was talking about this thing return to sports for weeks now, and his whole idea of eating or drinking beer through the mask. He has an idea. It's so bizarre. He talks about we should go back to Yankee Stadium because he's a Yankee fan. We'll eat our hot dogs and drink our beer through the mask. It's just dumb. But he kind of mentioned that.
We were referring to Kevin Paul DuPont earlier. Kevin Paul DuPont his comment came off of a Hannity comment on the party in the Ozarks there about how nobody was socially distancing, so they should be wearing a mask. Hannity is a proponent of people taking the right measures because they could spread it to the elderly. And first of all, it's just weird that KPD is that he picked that spot to go at Sean Hannity when Sean Hannity is on his team in that issue. You know what I mean? On that.
Why did Kraft? It's a good question. Why did Kraft go on? He talked about donating the ring and making $1 million for that charity, all in, and that was a nice thing for his friend, or whatever his friend Dave Rubin or not Dave Rubin, his friend who started that charity. But play the answer to the Brady question, because tell me if this it's almost Biden-esque. It's kind of all over the place.
Tom Brady, Belichick, Brady, and Kraft. One of the greatest trios in NFL history. Can you comment on that?
Hold on. Stop right there.
Well,
comment on what? Is that really a question, Sean? Again, I guess it's not exactly Sean's strength, but can you comment on what? Go ahead.
Privileged to have we're about, please God, to start our second century in the NFL. I'm privileged to have the greatest quarterback in the history of the league in the first 100 years and the greatest coach. So it's been a great joy to have this partnership for 20 years.
Yeah,
we're able
amazing.
to keep it together.
He's getting the Oscar send-off music.
The bum rush, yeah.
By the way.
Okay,
Yeah.
you guys help me out here. Help me out here. I like Kraft. He's a good man.
Yes.
Does he know Brady's gone? Does he forget? I mean,
Yeah, I tend to think that as the evening gets later, Mr. Kraft's thought process gets obscured as the evening moves on through external factors. I think he also
he
made
looked nice and relaxed. I don't know if he's in Florida, but he had his bright blue sport coat. Had that Florida look about him. And I guess maybe he wasn't expecting a dumb question like that. Like, can you?
It wasn't even a question. I think he didn't want to endorse the Patriots dynasty, being a big New York guy, so he just ceded the floor to Kraft. It was really, it was even more than a tongue bath. But I don't think the Steve Kerr interview would go similarly. I don't.
No, but yeah, probably not. But he didn't even ask about Trump. I guess maybe there were ground rules. He didn't ask about Trump.
Well, the funny thing is that according to the Howard Stern interview that we played some of, Brady and Trump still do talk, and it's funny that foursome were all Trump buddies that we saw over this weekend. Isn't that interesting to see the public consuming that and actually saying, not making it really, most people in the public not making it about Trump? And those are all his pals.
Well, no one. I mean, you've got to really be obsessed to like watch a golfer and say, "I hate him" because he doesn't hate Trump.
Didn't they do on the golf event the week prior? Didn't Trump call in? Am I crazy?
Yes.
I think he did call.
Yes, that was the week. Yeah, correct. And I mean, Trump's friends with all golfers. That's his thing. He owns golf courses. He golfs. He loves schmoozing with famous people. So he's going to be friendly with Mickelson and Tiger. And I think Brady. But let's be honest. What if Trump calls Brady? Even now that Brady has not publicly supported him. In fact, he's kind of turned his back on him publicly for obvious reasons. Brady doesn't want to get involved in politics. Brady's wife hates Trump. We think his mother probably doesn't like.
Yes.
But what are you going to do if the president calls you? If Trump picks up the phone and calls Brady, what's he supposed to do? Let it go to voicemail? You got to talk to him.
Yeah, no, there's a code that its personal assistant uses when Trump is on the line so that Giselle and the committee of sisters don't catch on that it's Trump. But I'm sure of course he talks to them. I mean, why wouldn't you take that phone call? First of all, Trump is probably, like he was great to Kraft, he's probably been great to Brady.
Yeah, Brady admits that when he was younger, Trump took good care of him.
Trump, there's a side of Trump that we're not allowed to talk about that nobody ever sees, that is a charming, nice, affable guy. People give that to Joe Biden because they want to believe that Joe Biden's like that, like the back slapping. But Trump's like that too. He works the room at Mar-a-Lago. He wants to make sure everybody's having a great time. That he's a people person at the end of the day.
Right. That's why I think it makes sense for him to call the 75-year-old guy who took a beating in the nursing home. It would be a very Trumpish move. He does. You're right. He makes that phone call. He drops that note that people remember. It's smart. It's good business. I mean, Kraft is never going to denounce him or turn his back on him because, as Kraft's sons have pointed out, when he was grieving, when he lost his wife, Trump checked in with him like every week for the next 6 months to see how he was doing. Those are the kind of things you remember.
Yeah.
And I don't think, unlike my girl Ann Coulter, I don't think Bob Kraft is ever going to turn on Trump. Nobody has ever turned with a viciousness and a vengeance like Ann Coulter has turned on Trump. If you're a Trump hater, you probably hate Ann Coulter too, but you will appreciate her tweet storm over the weekend. I know we mentioned it yesterday, but Shattuck, I know you're a political guy. Have you ever seen anyone turn the way Ann Coulter has turned on Trump? He has lost her forever. As I said yesterday, I don't think he's ever coming back from calling someone a blithering idiot and a actual retard. You can't. I mean, not just a fake retard, an actual retard. She called him the president. So I don't think she's going to be invited to Mar-a-Lago anytime soon. And they used to be buddies.
Well, Scaramucci turned on him pretty sharply too, but he's a different animal. He's an operator. Coulter at one point cuddled up to Romney, and then she eviscerated him, rightly so. And she's been criticizing Trump for the last 3 years about not building the wall,
right?
Which is, he ran in part because he talked to her and because of their relationship. The whole Mexicans aren't bringing their best, they're bringing rapists. That comes right out of her book. He mangled it, of course, to make it just seem like some racist thing. But that was her thing. So this is typical. I'm not surprised with her. I love her. I think she is.
I mean, I'm surprised the viciousness she went after him, and I thought it might have been, a couple of martinis, but
Yeah,
the next morning she picked it up right where she left off, just kind of to show everybody that it ain't the booze talking. It was her, and I mean, it's too bad she's not allowed on Fox anymore. You don't see her on TV much anymore, but she is pretty entertaining. She holds nothing back, and she is a damn funny writer. If you don't,
she is, Jerry. That nobody says that enough. Her books are hilarious. That's the thing about her. People say she's mean. Yes, she's mean, and when you're the target of it, it's not funny. But she is so funny. It's incredible. And she's tough too. I mean, we were Colin, and you saw her at the convention. She walks through crowds. She sat at all the Radio Rows. She takes heat from people. She has a little cocktail dress the whole time. She looks beautiful, by the way. And what she does, she knows when she goes outside that a bunch of crazy Antifa types are going to hassle her. So she finds big dumb Republicans at CPAC to act as her bodyguard. She just grabs them and says, "Will you walk me to my hotel?" Things like that. So she's a great. I have no problem with her giving the president criticizing him. He needs criticism. He may listen to it, and I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up back in Mar-a-Lago.
I don't know. It's tough. It is tough to come back from being called an actual retard, I have to say, or a blithering idiot. But here, get ready for it, guys. I tweeted out the story of George Floyd and Derek Chauvin, the cop who put the knee on the neck of George Floyd, a forgery suspect.
Jesus.
How's that going to play? The guy was a forgery suspect. Anyway, you know what this means, don't you? Old number 7, Colin Kaepernick will be back any moment now. Colin Kaepernick will be back on stage, not in uniform, not playing football, but he will be leading the mob.
I'm not a Kaepernick guy, Jerry, but
I guess I don't blame him in this case.
I'm not a Kaepernick guy, but I have a problem with Trump castigating Kaepernick and LeBron or whoever else. Leave them the hell alone. They are allowed to take a knee. I think it's disgraceful and all this stuff. But as a president, just shut up about it. Let's let them take their knee if they want to take a knee. You can talk about respecting veterans and the flag, and I agree with all that stuff. And I would never take a knee. I'd be embarrassed and ashamed if my son ever did any of that stuff. But American citizens have the right to do whatever the hell they want. And I just don't. I think the president should leave him the hell alone. Stick to side investigations in Scarborough's office for a bit.
I'm not sure you're going to see a lot of people tweeting in support of Derek Chauvin or the Minneapolis cops. I mean, I don't think that's the thing this is missing. It'll be a huge cable TV news story, a huge social media story, but I don't think there are two sides to it. I really don't. It's not like some story. It's not like the Michael Brown Ferguson story. There's not going to be a lot of debate. Unfortunately for Derek Chauvin, I think everybody's going to agree to send him up the river and put him away forever. That's fine by me.
Yeah. How do you repair that? It's ridiculous. Jerry, I do have some breaking news for you guys, by the way, if I can, you can allow me for a moment.
Sure. Love to. Good. I hope it's good because you saved it for, an hour and 20 minutes. So.
This is breaking Tom Shattuck news. Jerry, I'll have you know that I am.
It's not about chickens, is it?
Your chicken is great. Little Jerry Callahan, he's the alpha in there. He was the first one out today. He rules the roost. He really does, including some.
I thought it was a chicken. Aren't chickens all female?
I don't know what they are. I know that they're small and they're cool to watch. I suggest people get them. So I find out yesterday, Jerry, I get this thing from the government saying, we hope you've been enjoying your COVID-19 and unemployment benefits. And so I said, what is this? What benefits? So somebody I found out yesterday has been collecting under the name Tom Shattuck, my Social Security, Jerry, for 2 months now.
You're kidding.
Has been unemployment benefits. So we called the people at the unemployment office in Massachusetts. It's slammed, obviously. And the guy said, okay, we'll try to transfer you upstairs. That's where they handle these things. And he said, unfortunately, though, we are successfully able to transfer maybe 2 of these a day. And he says, because they're so swamped and understaffed. And he said, when we actually do get to transfer one upstairs, one of these cases, everybody applauds. So it just tells you how well things are going.
I mean, and how hard you're going to try? You're not losing any money, are you? I mean, the people who are pestering unemployment are people who are desperate. They need their checks. You know, they're out of work. You're just like trying to, you know, set the record. You're just trying to catch this thief.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they will ask for tax off that next year, and I assume if we all get laid off, print newspapers, it's possible. Then I'll ask for unemployment, and they'll say you've already been getting unemployment. You know, so I don't know. It's just a very. I'm kind of amused by it at the moment as we're on the precipice. But by the way, I'm going to change the subject one more time, Jerry, because we were talking about you interviewed Dave Rubin in a great interview that people, if you missed it, should listen to. But if talking about Trump and the way he is in private, this like nice guy to Robert Kraft, etc. If you didn't hear it, Rubin talks about he and his husband meeting Trump at Mar-a-Lago and having a conversation, and it's incredible. The guy they describe is a totally different person than we ever hear about or see. And Trump was Melania and her friends were having fun. They thought Dave was cute or something, and Trump brings him over here, grabs him, and says, "This is Dave Rubin, and who are you?" to the husband. And Dave Rubin says, "That's my husband." And Trump says, "Oh, your husband?" He said, "Well, that's great. That's great. You know, I don't give a shit about that. I don't give a shit about that. Nobody has for 20 years."
Right. He's the most pro-gay president we've ever elected. The only guy who's ever been elected who was in favor of gay marriage.
Imagine if you were gay and you introduced your husband to the president and he said, "Oh, I don't give a shit about that."
Well, but it tells you that he feels he has to. This guy is so misreported on, and so, you know, people just malign him so much that he has to tell you, by the way, don't believe what they're saying about me being a homophobic monster. None of that's true. And I think he probably has to do that with a bunch of people in person. I think the guy in person is not the guy that we see, and certainly not the guy who's portrayed a lot. And hopefully, like the Romney kids learned after the election, hopefully Team Trump can learn that before the election.
And he doesn't help, as usual. He doesn't help when he's tweeting dumb stuff about Joe Scarborough's intern.
Right.
But the intern's widower asking him not to, and he keeps doing it. So it's just one of those things you have to tolerate. I think, you know, that it's part of the package.
Well, he's got to get better at it, because you can't. Suburban housewives don't like it when you call another woman a horse face. You know,
or skank. No, there's certain things, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, so I know you're wrapping up, Jerry. So you're gonna hate this, but can I let someone take a victory lap right now? Last time I did this, actually, it was good for the show because the other person on the show almost walked off, and it was really good. So Turtle Boy is joining us.
Why did you wait? Okay, good.
I don't get it either. I'm doing a victory lap.
Turtle Boy,
congratulations.
Huh?
What's happening right now?
I put you on because you had a good day yesterday. All right.
Dave Coney wants you to take a victory lap.
Okay, this is me taking a victory. They talked about it on WBZ radio today. Howie talked about, you know who else linked it? Mike Huckabee linked me in his newsletter.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, Mike Huckabee's reading Turtle Boy. I did not know that today.
Excellent. So I've told you my theory before that if you just called yourself, you know, if you were like called the Daily Wire or something, or the Daily Planet, they would give you credit, but they don't want to give credit to someone named Turtle Boy. They just think it's beneath them.
TB Daily News. That doesn't have a ring to it?
Yeah, maybe that works. It just somehow they think this crazy. They think Turtle Boy is crazy. They don't realize that you're the best newsman. By the way, I'm going to call you the third best journalist in America. You're number 3 now. You're moving up. Number 1 is still Ronan Farrow because he brought down Harvey Weinstein and Matt Lauer. Number 2 is Catherine Harridge, and number 3 is Turtle Boy. What do you think? What do you think, Shattuck, on my top 3?
I think for impactful stories, the symbolism of the Polito story in this time right now is huge.
Just answer the question. Do you put him behind Harridge and Farrow?
I put him in front of Farrow because Farrow's done a lot of BS reporting, including some Kavanaugh stuff. And a lot of that stuff was, the case of Harvey Weinstein being a total pig had been out there. It just needed to break through. It just needed somebody to actually get through with it from the internal NBC firewall.
You put Turtle Boy as number 1, the best journalist in America?
I will not.
Why don't you just reach over in the screen?
There are so many journalists in America.
Who does Charlie Baker hate the most?
Howie Carr.
Nah, I definitely hates me more. I mean, Howie Carr has been somewhat nice. Howie doesn't go after him too badly.
Are you kidding? Howie had a great line about a week ago when he was talking about the overreaction to the virus, and he said, "If you're a woman under the age of 30, you have a better chance of being molested by Charlie Baker's son than you do of catching the virus."
That's
I
good.
rarely laugh out loud while reading a column, but that one was pretty damn good. And I will, you're right up there, Turtle Boy. You're right up there. He hates you. He hates all of us at this point. He's like Dukakis now. He's in his bunker and he just hates all these outside forces that are trying to expose him.
Yeah, I wanted a gig too. I want a gig with one of the cars with a siren on it, where I can screw through traffic. And
Can I, Turtle Boy, give you the next shoe to fall, and you will probably break the story. You've exposed Polito. She's a liar. She had a party. They didn't social distance. They didn't wear masks. She's a liar and a fraud. Here's what you're going to get Charlie Baker on, according to me, my prediction. Okay. He said a number of times that he can't go see his father, correct?
He has said that several times.
Okay. What do you bet? He finds the time. I mean, and someone will tip you off, say he has visited his father. He has broken the rules.
There's no way he has not seen his father this entire time.
No way. So somebody is going to rat him out, I hope. And I believe me, I would give him credit for going to see his father. But if you go see your father, that's against the rules. It is a double standard that, I don't care about Karen Polito going to a party. Everyone should go to graduation parties. It's a big deal. But don't tell me to do one thing and you do another. That's what the problem is. Charlie Baker will visit his dad and somebody will snap a picture of it and send it to you. That's my prediction.
Yeah. I mean, I love, you've seen the Ozarks videos that have been going around. We got to get a picture from inside Polito's house. That would be the one that they could throw up there. Like all these people eating their Gouda cheese and drinking their wine spritzers in there. They didn't cook. It was catered to, right?
Right. And, nobody kept their distance and they shook hands and they hugged and they did all those things that she says we're not supposed to do. By the way, if you watch Ozark, it looks a lot more fun in real life than it does in the show. I mean, the show, everybody is like getting murdered and everybody's, drunk and depressed. The actual Ozark, Lake of Ozarks, looks like fun. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in that pool, but there sure seem to be a lot of, fun people in that location.
Yeah, I had a good time. You said you didn't like it. All you can think about is urine. I don't know. It looked like a good time to me, Jerry.
Yeah, I was at Hampton Beach over the weekend. On the left are all the bars. I'm driving up the coastline, are all the bars, and outside, and there's people having a great time. There's obviously solo cups everywhere. There's music playing, and they were having a blast. I know a young waitress who works there, and she made hundreds of bucks in tips. Everybody was thrilled. And on the right-hand side is the beach, which, of course, was completely empty. Totally empty. The occasional police cruiser there, but Sununu is not, or didn't at that point have the beaches open. So the safest possible area on earth was cordoned off, not allowed to be open. Slightly less safe.
And they somebody called 911, more than one person, because they said there were people in the motels who were not essential. So some nosy neighbor, some Karen, saw people check into one of the motels, which are, some of them are.
Have you ever seen those Hampton motels?
Yeah.
You got a lot more to worry about that coronavirus in those Hampton Beach motels.
Can you imagine what kind of a-hole calling the cops saying, I see someone check in a hotel. I don't think they're essential. Could you check it out? Just brings out the worst in people. But this is bringing out the best in Turtle Boy. Good job yesterday. Get on the Soldiers Home story. It's about to blow up on Charlie Baker. You know that. Yes. We look forward to the next story breaking on TB Daily News and Shattuck and in Lowell Sun too. The Lowell Sun is, I'll say, the best newspaper around. Since the Herald wouldn't give Turtle Boy credit, we'll put Lowell Sun the top of the list. But thanks, Shattuck. Go take care of little Jerry Callahan. When is feeding time? You got to go feed little Jerry Callahan?
20 minutes, Jerry. I'll put it on Twitter.
Excellent. I like to see it. But thanks, man. Thanks to Shea Concrete and Allied Paving. Thanks to DCU. Good job, Callahan. This is the Callahan Podcast. We'll do it again tomorrow.